He's fine.
He's fine in the house.
Mama,
I'll take him.
can't.
I'll take him upstairs.
You gotta go with Daddy. I love you. You go with Daddy. No ringing the
You're
bell.
live. Hello. Now I got to put this in the sew along group, right?
Yep.
So where is your computer?
Where is mine? Right here.
Totally looked all over here, I'm sure.
Here. Hello, ladies. Hi, Miss Cheryl. That was Mr. Patrick.
Still is.
Still is Mr. Patrick. We have 4 more minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started. Still is Mr. Patrick. Is there a mute, Patrick?
Over there? On the front of the microphone.
Just... Hi, Miss Linda. Hi, Rolo. Happy Mother's Day. Happy day after Mother's Day. Hope you all had a fantastic time. We did takeout. I am just going to mute myself for the next 2 minutes. Just get your stuff ready to go. We are going to be starting with the pieced flag. That's going to be on our agenda. Let me push that back a little bit. And we'll get started in just a couple more minutes. It's time. So I was gonna work on. I literally, ladies, this is what makes me so sad. I've been ripping my house apart looking for my CD reader because I want to start this spreadsheet for our next sew along, which is going to be 2 scoops. So here's my 2 scoop CD. Here's my CD, and I cannot find my CD reader. Maybe has anyone downloaded it already that could send me just the PDF? Because I want to start putting together the literally I've taken this to the store and then I've been too busy to load it. So I brought it back home and then I couldn't find it and I had my CD reader. I was running around the house with my CD reader and now I've lost my CD reader. I finally found this and I was so excited. And then now I can't find my CD reader. And I literally spent the last hour looking everywhere. And I went on Amazon and I just bought another one. I just couldn't take it anymore. And now I know it's going to turn up. But on to more interesting things. We are going to get started with finishing up Sweet Land of Liberty. This morning I went ahead and I recorded a video doing the flange pieces with the quilting and the inner border pieces, which are super, super cute. So your 2 scoops is at the store, and I think fabric kits are going to be in tomorrow. So you can come pick it up. I'm going to make Patrick go to the store and go get my CD reader. But these are going to be the inner strips. Aren't they so cute? I did them with a cream colored thread. I thought the white was going to be too stark, so I'm so glad I did that. I did, in one of my videos, I was like, oh, we're done. And then I looked and this portion here was only half done. So if you have a Luminaire Solaris, I went back in and I used my projector to figure out where I ended and started it again. And it came out really great. I don't even know if I can figure out where. Oh, this is it. I can tell because I'm not totally on. But, and I had to redo the pie and stuff like that. But you know, it was one of those learning moments. So I will post that later. Kai has to splice it together for me. If I do one takes, I can post it myself. If not, I have to have somebody else do it for me. So I'll post that in case you wanted to see how to stitch these out. I use my 8x12 for all of that. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to put this to the side. This is what you should have done from last week. And last week's going to be Sweet Land of Liberty, our pieced block, our piece of pie, and our watermelon. Today we are going to be doing section 2. And section 2 is going to be the pieced flag, the cherries, the cake, and the flower. It might take a little bit longer. Those embroideries are a little bit bigger, but I think we should be able to get through this today. We are going to start off, let's go ahead and start off with the pieced flag. So pieced flag, and I'll keep my sheet out, is on page 14. Let's go ahead and turn to page 14. And there's 2 options for the pieced flag. So if you don't have an 8x12 hoop, there's a double hooping option in your 5x7. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way because we don't need this for right now. It's just so cute to look at though. I'm using muslin again as my stabilizer. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm excited. This was like a quick project. I'm planning on finishing it tonight. Oh, let me show you my back. So I did go ahead. Ooh, that I didn't like that view. You got to see like how messy it is here. Ladies, you're not going to believe this. I used my Scan and Cut this weekend and I loved it. It was so incredible. So this is my back. So I went ahead and pieced it together. You need 22 inches by 26 inches because then you're going to cut it down to 22 by 26 and then you're going to have 22 by 13. 2 by 13. I didn't even square off the edges, but I went ahead and just cut every little last piece apart. And I still have a couple of little pieces left, but this is all left over from the pillow. And this, I'm going to cut this apart, and this is going to be my backing. I'm not using the backing, the 2/3 yards backing that it recommended. I'm going to go ahead and hoop this up in my 8x12 hoop. if I can find where I put it. I got a new mat, which I'm so excited about. Let me get rid of all of this stuff so it's not in the way. I was using a 17 by 17 and I went ahead and I got a 17 by 24 and I absolutely love it because there were sometimes that 17 by 17 just wasn't big enough. And when I really am getting down and dirty with my ironing, I use I iron on my other ironing station. And on that ironing station, I have a, is it 24 inch by 60 inch, I think? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this hooped up. What? I don't even have my 2-scoop CD. Oh, you'll have, it's all been there. It's just been sitting there, but I just am getting the, whatchamacallits in, the fabric kits. So it's always easier for me if I can give you everything all together. But if you're chomping at the bit and you're like, I gotta have whatever's in, then I'm totally fine with that too. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and slide this on my machine. I have a white bobbin in there. Let me come on over here. I really try to move my camera around as quickly as possible so you don't see like how messy it is. But I have a lot of things in the works, ladies. I have all this stuff that we're going to use for all our upcoming Serger classes and IQ classes. And I just started another quilt this weekend. That's the one I was using my scan and cut for. And I just absolutely loved it. I'll talk to you about it tomorrow in the live feed. So the design that we need is going to be patriotic, and we need the 6x10. So I'm going to go right here. Let's get my patriotic. Uh-oh. Is it going to be on my other USB? Sweet Land of Liberty. I have another USB here. Sorry, I was using multiple USBs. Let's see if that one works. There we go. I'm going to have to jump around between USBs. So we're doing the 6x10. Let me just confirm. This is Patriotic 6x10. And I'm going to go ahead and set it. And it bumps us. The reason we can't use the 6x10 hoop is it bumps us 1/2 inch. And that's why we have to go into the 8x12 or the 7x12. So I'm going to go ahead and add to this. And we're adding pieced flag. Because some people are like, why doesn't it fit? It says 6x10. It bumps you because of that batting. Sweet Land of Liberty. Embroidery files. And where's our pieced flag? There it is right here. We're going to go ahead and set that. And I am going to go ahead and hit embroidery. And the first thing it wants to do is it's going to want to do the placement stitch for your batting. So let me go ahead and do that first. I'm going to grab my batting and my spray tan. Here is all my fabric ready to go with my batting. So it says piece flag, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this. I'm grabbing my batting. And it doesn't, you're piecing it so there's not like a huge background piece like we had for the oted ones. Remember, spray it on the nubby side. I think we've talked about it before. You have a right side and a wrong side to your batting. So this is sprayed. I use Ganold KK100. It's my favorite. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press that down. Now I'm going to do the tack down, and then we're going to trim. So get a good pair of scissors so you can trim this up. I'll use my big old double curved. there's my scan and cut, ladies. I actually put it away and I took it back out this morning because I'm doing, what's it called, French roses. And I forgot to cut the leaves out. So I'm going to do that after we're done with this. After we're done with this, I'm going to go ahead and sew this all together, attach my flange, put on the backing, and I'm going to be done with this. I'm so excited. And then I am going to work on the spreadsheet for 2 scoops. I'm trying to think when we'll get started with 2 scoops. Okay, you're going to trim away all that batting that's going around it. If you need to slide it off, slide the hoop off of your machine, go ahead and do so. If you're like me, you start trimming before it even stops stitching. And I got to slow it down, right? I want you to be able to keep up. Let's get the camera up and out of the way. All right, Patrick and I were watching a documentary last night, and it was called it was called After Innocence, I think, and it was about all these people who are wrongfully convicted and have spent decades in prison. And after we finished watching it, I said to Patrick, because when I'm all said and done and we aren't working anymore, of course I'm gonna sew like crazy, but then I also want to do something else, and I go back and forth. I'm like, Patrick, how am I going to have enough time to do everything? Because it all depends on what documentary I'm watching. Because I've got to I got to save the animals. And then I got to work with, oh my goodness, you know what I wasn't even paying attention to? Did it say not to trim the batting at this time? We need to, oh, you know what? This is what happens next. Okay, because this is pieced. We'll come back and do the stitching on top. I should pay attention. We are going to do the stitching on top after we do all the piecing. So you're going to skip the next 2 steps. I love these because, you know, you have to be a little creative with what you do. So the next step is going to be placement for the backing. We're not doing that yet because the backing needs to be pieced, and it's going to be pieced on the hoop. So we're going to go to this button. We're going to skip that, and we're going to skip this step, which is the tack down for the backing, and we're going to skip this step, which is going to be the quilting. Now we're going to go into the piecing. So if you've never done this before, this is what you can do for the pieced in the hoop squares. You can still do the quilting. We just have to remember in the end to go back and add the quilting to whatever we piece here in the hoop. So we're going to stitch the piecing template. So go ahead and stitch your piecing template right on top of the batting. And grab your fabric. You're going to see the first thing it wants you to do is place one short white stripe fabric right side up, completely covering section 1. So if you look here at our fabric, I have a short white, a short red, a long white, and a long red. You want the short one. So I'm going to grab that one. That's going to go right side or wrong side down. And actually there's 2 of these. Fabric is going to go right side up, so I'm going to give this a little shot of spray to the wrong side. Make sure you spray the wrong side too, because you have to look at it sometimes to figure that out. numbered in your template. So keep this out where you can see, okay, these are the pieces that go down, and this is the order they're going to go down in. And we are going to go ahead. Oh, there's one more outer stitch. I hope you're all stitching. This is just a good way to get yourself to do your projects. And you do it with your girlfriends. Okay, this is number 1 right up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay this down. I'm not going to slide it out. And I'm just going to center it on that piece. First thing it's going to do is your trim placement line. I'm just going to go ahead and hit start. Your color right now does not make a difference. But you want to see if it says you want stitch the piecing in a visible color, but you can see where it's going. You know, I'm a little worried right now because it says completely covering section number 1, and it does show this piece going over that edge, and mine is not going over the edge, so I might have to catch up to you, but I'm going to take that out and do that one more time. So let me go ahead and rip out that stitch. Sorry, ladies. I just think it needs to go over that edge. I'm going to go back a couple stitches just to get that one more time. Seam ripper. So if yours doesn't go over that edge, you might want to take it out. Can't seem to get that stitch right there. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to have to go back in my steps and just take this out. And I want that left side to go all the way up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and place this back down again and pull out that thread. I'm going to go back here. This goes forward, that goes back. Let me go ahead and pull this forward. And let's lay this down. It's my right side. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go over here, 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to center it. So now you can see I'm over this side and I'm over that side. I wasn't quite over that side. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Let's do it one more time. And let's make sure you're threaded. Okay, this will be better. After it does this, we're going to go ahead and trim to the right of that stitch line. And then we're going to get one of our short reds. So this is going to be flip and fold. Does not have to be perfect. Your batting might make it a little harder to cut because your tip of your scissors might get caught. All right, that becomes your placement line. Grab one of your red pieces, short reds. Don't grab your long red. You want a short red. And you're going to lay it right side down. You're going to center it to that stitch. And the edge is going to go on it. And now it's going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Stitch does not work when... What did it want? I don't even know. And then you're going to, I'm going to spray it and fold it over. If you don't want to spray it, you can go ahead and just fold it over and tape it, or you can fold it over and hold it. Gently. Ooh, this can has broken in. It's like I barely had to touch it. And I like to just push it back, give it a little finger crease. Okay, it is going to do another trim placement line. Here's my trim placement. This is step number 10. Trim the fabric close to the stitch line. Does not have to be perfect. And pretend that line goes all the way up. That extends all the way up, that stitch line. We're going to take a short white. Make sure you have it right side down. The edge goes on that line and centered to the line. And now it's going to trim. Now it's going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to give it a little shot of spray and fold it over. I don't know when we're going to, I'm going to have to figure out, so what is the date today? It's the 10th. So what if we start, I wonder if we could start our sew along on the 20th. I have to look at the dates. The thing that gets in the way is we have our quilt show here in Reno. So I'm going to be out of pocket with the quilt show for, a week before and a week after. Gets really crazy and gets really busy. So that was just step number 14. Step number 15 says trim the fabric close to the stitch, and then we're going to lay down our last short piece of red. That is not short, that is long. Here it is. Make sure you're grabbing the right piece, goes right side down. 1/4 inch. I'm going to give it a little shot of spray and fold it over. So this is step number 17. This back a little bit so I'm not going to get spray on. I don't know if I've ever had a can that's as magnificent as this one. There we go. I'm going to slide it back on. Now it's going to do a trim placement line right along here. And the piece of fabric you want to get is the blue piece. And I have shape flex on the back of mine. We're going to trim that away first. And let me see, this blue piece looks pretty square. The blue piece is 6.5 by 6.5, so it doesn't matter how we put it down. I'm going to go ahead and trim this. Just trying to get it out of the way. All right. 6.5 by 6.5. How come this looks so huge? Am I 6.5 by 6.5? Yeah, I sure am. It's just going to be really, really big. Okay, go ahead and lay it down. I pieced my shape flex. I'm going to just center it to that. Slide it back on and let it do its 1/4 inch. Star background, 6.5 by 6.5. Okay, that was the seam. We're going to fold it over. Am I doing anything wrong? Is this what you had too, ladies? Was it like that big? Does everyone have theirs that big too? Let me know. Make sure I am doing it right. Feels wrong to me that it's so big like that. All right, now it's going to go ahead and it's going to go all the way across here. It's going to be another trim placement line. Why did you use shape flex on the back? I don't know if you needed it, but when I go through the instructions, anything that says background fabric, I always put shape flex on the back of it. So that was in there. If you look here, it said background. So anytime it says background, I just automatically put a piece of shape flex. It's pretty thick, so I don't know if we needed that on this one, but it's on there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and trim to the right of this. Is this what everyone else looks like, though? Do you have this big old blue piece? I guess it doesn't matter. I guess it's better that it's too big than not big enough. I just want to make sure, because the picture doesn't look like that. It doesn't look that big, does it? Okay. Now we're going to go ahead. I mean, if anything, we probably should have put some shape flex on the white pieces. These white pieces, so there's no shadowing. However, I'm going to go ahead and lay this down. Let me look at the fabric. Make sure I'm putting it right side down. Center it. You're going to center it to that last stitch. Mine is almost short. I'm going to center it. And then I'm going to let it do the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Give it a little shot of spray and flip and fold it over. Okay, let it go ahead and do the next placement trim line. That is going to be step number 29. You're going to get your long red piece. And then we're going to do the pieced star on top. Just so cute. Okay, I just love this. This one is so cute. Go ahead and trim to the right of that last stitch line. And we're going to center this one right side down. We're going to place it centered to that stitch and the edge right here, right on that stitch line. This is your 1/4 inch. I'm going to give it a little shot of spray and flip it over. All right. Next thing it's going to do is it's going to stitch the flag tack down trim line, and this is going to go around the perimeter. Oh my goodness, it is so cute. I just love it. I'm looking at the picture and it does show the blue kind of really big around it. If I were going to do this again, I would definitely cut the blue much shorter than I would not cut the blue this big. Maybe I would do 5.5 by 5.5. You just don't need that much fabric. Okay, color is going to make a difference next because we're going to be doing the placement line for the star. So you need your yellow fabric, and it wants you to do that kind of goldish yellow. Oh, I love this color. Okay, here we go. So we are in step number 35. It says stitch the star 1 placement line. I'm going to take out my cream, which I was using to do my quilting. I think what I need to do is write down the color list that goes with each set. How are we, ladies? Who's stitching today? Hopefully you're all stitching if you're watching. And I'm going to give this a little shot of spray. Miss Heather's at work. Glad you're watching anyways, Secretary Mundy. So that's a lot like a big piece of fabric for those tiny little squares. If it was just me stitching, I would do each one. I can't help myself. I would put them each down and then trim them. And I'm going to do that right now because that's so much fabric. And after it cuts, I'm just going to hit stop and then I'm going to trim. I'm just going to trim this one up. And this one says trim close to the stitch line. I mean, I think it'll take me the same amount of time, right? Okay, this one, I'll just go this direction. Wait, I need to go this direction. Okay, there we go. And then when it's done with this, I'm just going to cut. I can trim it better once it's out. And nice, Joyce. Glad you're stitching. I'm just going to hit stop. I'll get the rest of it later. And then this one, I'll just lay down like this. I know. That was probably a little bit longer. And what am I going to do with that leftover piece of fabric? I don't know. I just couldn't do it. Look at it, that's all I needed. Okay, let me trim this and I'll trim the rest of them. Stitch close to the, trim close to the stitch. And those are done. Let's go ahead, and the next thing it wants you to do is stitch the star decorative outline. So we're going to use that same gold in there, and we're just going to hit start. Let it stitch the decorative outline, and then you're going to get your white piece of fabric. So you should have a white piece of houndstooth. And we're going to do the same thing, but you're going to get your white thread. So get your white thread out. And then after we're done with the white, guess what? We're going to go back and get that quilting stitch. And this is how you add the quilting all in one hooping with the piece block. I think my first piece block I pieced it and then I cut it out and went back and added the quilting. And then I was just thinking about it going, shoot, is that like the most efficient way? Can I do it a different way? So yes, you can. You just have to change the order in which you stitch. Okay, I'm going to give my white fabric a little shot of spray. Make sure you spray it on the back side. I'm going to go ahead and take out my gold thread. I have this like never-ending spool of white thread that I've been trying to finish off. I don't even know how many Kimberbell projects I've done with it. And it wasn't like a big spool either. Okay, placement stitch. I've already sprayed my white fabric. I'm going to grab it. You know, I don't know if you saw that, but my fabric is totally getting pushed by the foot. So I'm going to go into my settings. And I'm going to take my embroidery foot height and I'm going to bring it up a little bit. So I just brought it up one click. If you do this, you need to remember to put your foot back down. Because what happens is if your embroidery foot is too high, it's going to cause, for your next project, it's going to cause your thread to break. So you just have to remember that. So after I'm done with this, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to put that foot height back down. But my batting that I used was a little bit cushy, so it is getting pushed a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and place this right up here. I'm going to go one more click up. You want your foot to skim your fabric, but never push it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and trim this. Close to the stitch, we're going to do the decorative stitching. And then we're going to add, don't forget, we have to add that quilting stitch in. We're going to have to go back and do that. Trim it close to the stitch. Hang on just a second. The family's making all sorts of noise up there. I didn't want you to have to listen to that. Alright, I'm going to slide this back. I'm going to let it do the decorative stitching around that star. I'm going to leave that foot height up and I'll do the quilting. Let's see what color we should do our quilting with. Shoot, I think I'm going to go back in with the cream. I know there's a lot of white on here, but I think the cream's going to be a good call. It is so cute, isn't it, Rolo? It's so cute. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm going to put in my cream thread. We're going to do the quilting. So my screen just said finish embroidery, but we're not because we want to do that quilting stitch. So we're going to go back to it. So I'm going to go here where I go forward and back stitches. That was the placement for my batting, the tack down for my batting, the placement for my background, which we didn't have because it had to be pieced, and the tack down for it. And there we go. There's our quilting stitch. Isn't that amazing? So you just don't have to hoop again. Everything's ready to go. Everything's pieced in the hoop. Everything's already placed. I'm going to leave my foot height. But as soon as it's done, we're going to lower that foot height. And if I forget, please remind me, because it'd be just like me to forget. And while it's stitching that out, let's get ready for the next one. That wasn't that much. Next one we're going to do is the cherries. Okay, while it's doing the quilting, because it's 6 minutes of quilting, why don't you get your 5x7 hooped up? I just have muslin in there. And I'm going to grab my cherries, my fabric for my cherries. And you can just let that keep stitching. so cute. Okay, ladies, have your 5x7 hooped up so we can jump right into the cherry embroidery. We're going to bang it out. You're going to stitch it up tonight, and you're going to be done tomorrow. Hopefully. Look how cute that stitching is right there in the star. Mine's a little puffy right here just because my fabric kind of moved over. But I'm going to press that down. It's going to look fantastic. And your foot might have been fine. It might have been just gliding over your fabric. I think the piece of batting I put in there was just a little, it was poofy. So before I forget, I'm going to go ahead because we are done with this. I know it's not saying finish because it wants you to do all that piecing, but we've already done all of that. I'm going to go in here, and before we do anything else, I'm going to go to embroidery foot height, and I'm going to take it back to default. You'll know that it's default because it's going to be in a black box if you're on a Baby Lock or a Brother machine. And I'm going to say okay. Like I said, if you forget to do that, if your foot height is too high, it can cause your thread to break. I'm going to pop this out. I'm going to slide in my 5x7. Oops. Before I do that, I'm going to get rid of this on the screen or else it's going to tell me that my hoop is, my design's too big. So I'm going to go home. And let's get ready to load in our next design. I'm going to slide my 5x7 on now. Next thing we're going to do is the cherries. Don't worry about the peace flag. We're going to come back to that. Here is your packet. This is what it should look like for your cherries. We are going to be doing, it's on page 18. We want to put our design is going to be wavy 4, and it's the 4x4 vertical size. So let's come over here and go embroidery. We are doing Sweet Land of Liberty. Oh, you know what? I got to get my embroidery design first, or my quilting. So I want 4x4 wavy vertical. That's this one. Go ahead and load that and set it. I'm going to choose my hoop size. I'm going to go to my settings. I'm going to go 5x7. That way I know exactly how much space I have to work with. Now I'm going to add to that. I'm going to hit add. And the design we're adding is the cherries. USB, Sweet Land of Liberty. Yours might be different. This is just how I labeled everything. PES for me, and there are my cherries right there. Set. I'm going to move that design up. Should I move it up? It really doesn't make a difference on the fabric that I'm using right now. So I'll just leave it right there in the center. Because I'm hooped and it's moving to the left and right, so it's not going to make a difference. If my fabric was hooped up and down, I would move it up just to conserve. I'm going to go ahead and hit embroidery. First thing it wants to do is it wants to do the placement stitch for the batting. I still have the cream in there, which I am fine with. Let's turn to our instructions on page 18. Let's see if it doesn't make a difference for a while, so I'm just going to leave the cream in there. I'm just going to hit start. It is going to do the placement stitch for my batting, so I'm going to go ahead and let's spray my batting and my backing fabric. So then we're done with both of those. There's my nubby side. I'm going to go ahead and spray both of those. I could have nudged that over to the right. I'm always nudging. Yeah, this is kind of thick. Whatever batting I have here is kind of thick. So I'll probably go in there and adjust my foot height up a little bit again. I'll do it after this. This is going to be super cute. I can see it move my batting a little bit. I might just go up 2 clicks again. Again, to change your foot height, you're just going to go into your settings button. And here's my embroidery foot height. And I'm going to go back to the 1.0. But I'm going to be very conscious of that and make sure I change it when I'm done with this project. And that doesn't mean, oh, thank you, Rolo. That doesn't mean that you have to move your foot height. Like, look at my batting. I just grabbed some thick stuff. This was just in my scrap bin. Yours might be fine. If you're using the Kimberbell project batting, that stuff is really, really thin. My bracelet was it was a gift from a girlfriend. I think she got it at there's that gift store in town. Is it the Galleria? Kind of at the where Yoshi's Deli is and all that stuff. I forget what that little shopping complex is called. Okay, I'm going to skip the next step. The next step is placement stitch for my background fabric. I'm going to do the tack down, but mine is already sprayed. Let's look at your instructions. The fabric is directional and it wants you to have it up and down. So what I do is I usually skip that step and I just fold it in quarters and I just take my finger and point right at the middle, and that's where I put that corner. Whoops. I don't want it that way because we want it to go up and down. And I just lay it down like that. And you just want to make sure you're about equidistant all the way around. Mine feels pretty good. So now I'm going to do my tack down. So I did skip the placement. Ladies, while it was stitching, I went ahead and I moisturized my hands so they don't look as scaly. I felt like, you know that commercial where they have the alligator, they show like the woman's hands and they're all scaly, and then they show an alligator walking across the screen. That's how I felt. I feel 10 years younger right now. Okay, so now it wants to do the quilting stitches. I have a cream in there. I'm just going to leave that. And these are going to be the wavy vertical, wavy 4. And then we're going to be ready to start the embroidery. First color you're going to need is a really good green. So if you look at your instructions, all of this is pre this. So this is going to be our first stitch out with that green. Green for the leaf. So grab your green. Okay, first thing it wants to do is placement for the leaf, and it wants you to do that in green. So change your thread out. We're rocking it. We're like, you know, what is this? We're into our cherry. We're an hour into our sew along. Okay, placement for the green. You want to grab your green piece of fabric, the green texture one. Give it a little shot of spray. You might as well spray all of them. So you have your green, your red houndstooth, and your red leather. I'm going to spray all 3 of them. This one goes down first. If you want to make your fabrics, you want to, you know, make it go longer, you could, I'm sure you could get 2 leaves out of this. I'm just going to go ahead and lay mine down. So this is your tack down. Then you want to go ahead and trim it close to the stitch. This is step number 5. Look, I don't even move my hoop out of the way. That's how lazy I am. But on the flip side, it saves so much time. Okay, step number 6 is stitch the leaf, detail, and decorative outline. I didn't quit chewing them, Frollo. I think it was just the moisturizer made it look better. I just forget to do things like that. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to stitch the left cherry placement line. And it says color doesn't make a difference, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put red in. Because red's going to be the next color that you see anyways. Might as well put it in now. My threads are all mixed up. I don't know which one goes to my silky sallows and which one goes to my 2 scoops. I'm going to have to figure it out. Okay. Color doesn't make a difference, it says, but I'm going to go ahead and put red in right now. And I'm going to do the placement line for the cherry leather. So this is step number 7. And then get your cherry leather. bin of all your, and I organized mine. I organized mine into leathers and then, you know, everything else. So I have this one I could use instead. Or what's this? Nope, too small. Patrick and I were going through withdrawals this morning because we haven't been able to watch our Amber Heard. Johnny Depp. I know, doesn't that sound horrible? I'm going to use the big piece. You know why? Well, actually, oh, I want you to trim it close. I'm going to use this one because this one will fit. If it was as desired, you need more of a seam allowance. I'm going to put this one down. Look on both sides, and there we go. Rolo, are you saying that my hands look beautiful today? Because I feel like my hands look beautiful. I'm just kidding. I feel like hands are the one thing that totally give your age away. You can kind of fool people unless they look at your hands and then they go, oh, she's older than I thought. Okay, and you want to trim this close to the stitch because I think it's going to do a decorative. Is it doing something decorative? Yeah, it's going to satin stitch around this. So trim it close. I was doing filmed the video for the flange this morning, and I kept going, oh, I need to put some lotion on. I wish I had like habits. Like I know some people, you know, nighttime, they go ahead and they, like my daughter, it loves her nighttime routine. She's got a nighttime skin routine. And my nighttime routine is like floss and brush my teeth. That's it. I think that's pretty good though, right? Okay, next thing you're going to do is you're going to do the placement line. So I still have my red in, and this is going to be for the fabric. This is for the other cherry. So grab that piece of fabric next. I'm going to just lay this piece down. And then we're going to trim that. And then you're going to use your red and do the satin outline around both cherries. And then we'll do the stem. And we're done with this one. Holy cow, how fast is this? You know, I was thinking about this the other day, the Kimberbell Basics fabrics, and they're pretty fantastic. I feel like she's done such a good job. They're so good to mix and match. They're pretty. You don't have to just do Kimberbell. They go with everything. Just to narrow it down to like a group of fabrics. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stitch this down. You know what I'm going to do just because I can is I'm going to change my bobbin out to a red bobbin just to make sure nothing is peeking through. And I have red pre-wound bobbins. I keep red, charcoal. I keep all the colors that Tack makes because it's easy. And here we go. Go ahead and do your satin stitch. And then you want to get your charcoal gray to do that cherry stem. This is 3 minutes of stitching. I'm going to go clean up a little bit. Okay, and then you want that charcoal gray for the stem. And I mean, I see a little bit of white. And that white is going to be from just the leather. It's like the inside of the leather. And there's not really much you can do about it except maybe take a little Sharpie to it. So if it bothers you, I'm going to go ahead and change out my thread. And since I'm in here already, I'm going to just put in some, I have a charcoal gray bobbin. Let's just put that in. Actually, this one's a black. This one's charcoal gray. Whoop! It's jumping. Might as well put in a matching bobbin since I'm in here already. And if I forgot to change my bobbin to an appropriate color, Linda, let me know. I need all the help I can get. All right. You could do black too. Whoop. I can't believe it threaded that. Without letting the foot go all the way down. Okay, here we go. It's stem time. And then we're done with this. While it's stitching out the stem, let's grab what we need for our cake. And our cake, we're going to go back to our 8x12. 8x12. Where are you? So while it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and hoop up in my 8x12. Just going to move this up. I'm going to cut off this excess piece right here. I'm going to scoot this up. I'm going to get ready for the cake. I don't know if anyone saw Marlene but she used, I think she used leather instead, and it's super cute. So just remember, you're not married to that, the fabric that comes with it. You can do whatever you want. That looks good. And our cherries are done. Go ahead and pop those out. Look how cute those are, and we'll get ready to press those. I'm going to pop it out of the hoop. And just put it back here, and let me grab my cake fabric. You ready to move on? Let's talk about what's next. So the next one is going to be our cake. And this should be your fabric pack right here. Should look something like this. I'm going to put this to the side. Let's turn to our cake page, which is going to be page 20. That's where I move on to my next set of directions. Here's page 20, and let's see if there's any... so we're going to align it to the quilt design. We're just going to center it, so that shouldn't be anything special. Our backing fabric, which is this kind of putty color, should already be stabilized. I think we're ready. I'm going to take this to the machine and go ahead and slide it on. Before I slide it on, though, let me feel my batting. Batting's not so thick. Why don't I go ahead and change my foot height right now before I forget. It's always so confusing when you're stitching and you've changed your foot height and then it starts breaking your thread and you don't know why and you can't figure it out. And I'm probably going to have to do a change, a bobbin change, but I want to go ahead and just finish off this white. Let's slide on the hoop. I'm going to cut this one off later. Carriage is going to move. And let's grab our spreadsheet. How are we doing, ladies? Are you keeping up? I know. Am I going super fast? I'm like, you know, have everything all organized. That way we can just go from design to design. So for this one, we want our quilting design to be Patriotic 3, and we want this 6 by 10. Let's go ahead and load that first. I'm going to go ahead and hit my home button, which will clear our screen. And there is 6 by 10. Where's my 6 by 10? 6 by 10 Patriotic 3. Here it is. Got nervous for a minute that it wasn't there. Go ahead and set it. I am back in my 8 by 12 hoops. I'm going to go ahead and select that too. 8 by 12. How about my foot height? Did I already change that? I did. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the cake design. Yes, I've seen the cake with the leather. It was really cute, wasn't it? Okay, I'm going to hit add. Let's go find cake. Cake. Okay, so you have cake for 2 hoopings. If you have a 5 by 7 and you are unable to do, you don't have an 8 by 12. I love that they put all of that in so everyone can participate. So I'm going to go ahead and hit set. Cake is centered. You don't have to move it. I do want to take this design and everything and scoot it up, but I'm not going to do it in this screen. This is our main edit screen. I'm going to hit embroidery because once you go to this screen, guess what? It's combined, so I don't have to move them separately. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my layout button, move, center it, and I'm just going to scoot it straight up to the top. That way, I have all of this down here, and I'm utilizing all of that. Okay, I'm going to be able to conserve all of that. First thing we want to do is we are going to do the placement stitch for the batting, and I'm going to change my thread out. So it looks like our placement, our quilting stitches, I'm just going to do that in cream. So let me put my cream back in. How are we doing, ladies? Stitching away? I'm going to put this on. And while it's doing this, I'm going to go ahead and spray my batting and my backing fabric. There's my batting. This is my nubby side, and we're going to spray the back of my background fabric. Guess what? My batting feels thick. So I'm probably going to put my foot height up again. I'm going to go back up to 0.1. And now we're going to do our tack down, and then we're going to trim. Miss Joyce, how are you? Are you with me? You ahead of me? You behind me? Where are you at? Oh my goodness. Are those the hands of a 40-year-old? Or just a 50-year-old who's moisturized? Just kidding. I think they still look 50. I think before they were looking more like 100. You're on the pink. Oh, you're ahead of me. Are you on the pink of the cake? Don't want to slow you down, ladies. Don't let me cramp your style if you're way ahead of me. That way you can warn me too if there's something like something treacherous coming up that I need to watch out for. Okay, trim away your batting. All right, I'm going to skip the next step, which is placement stitch for the background fabric. That's the tack down. So I am going to do the tack down. And my fabric's already sprayed. I'm going to go ahead and fold it in quarters. And I'm going to eyeball the center. Lay my fabric down. Before I push it down, I'm going to make sure it's good and centered, and I think I need to bring it down a little bit. I got my big old Wonder Clip indent. There we go. There we go. That should be good. Go ahead and press it down. And this is the tack down. Remember, I skipped my background stitch. I'm bringing up the rear. Just finished the flag. Okay. If you're just finishing the flag too, you can skip the cherries. And then you could just go straight to the cake. And then do the cherries later if you want. There we go. Now it wants to do the quilting stitch. So you could leave the cream in, or there is, I think there's a color in here that goes with this. Is there? Do I have it? Maybe I don't. Maybe I'll just leave that. I feel like in the last thread kit there was a color that matched this perfectly. I don't think that one does. I'm just going to leave this cream in. Let's just go with it. Or should I do this? Ooh, that could be really pretty. What do you think? Is that too gray? Well, I can't decide. That's kind of pretty. This is like a grayish. You know, I love grayish. Looking at it like that, that may be, I like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm taking out the cream. Or do you think the cream looks better? I'm going to go grayish. I'm getting wild and crazy. Here we go, ladies. This is 6 minutes of stitching. I'm going to go ahead and let it stitch out, and I'm going to putz around my sewing room. Look at that. That is pretty darn cute. Okay. Cake. Let me get my cake instructions. Next thing we're going to do is it wants you to stitch the scroll and pinwheel stem detail. That's going to go up on the very top. I'm going to do that in a, and it's showing it kind of in a medium gray, but I think I'm going to go darker gray. I think I'm going to go medium gray. Hang on just a second. Let me grab an appropriate medium gray. I want it to be seen, but I don't want it to be too dark. What do you think? I think I'm going to do this one. This one's a little, it's funny with grays because there's like kind of tinny grays and there's softer grays. Do this one. Is that more charcoaly gray? Oh, I don't know if we're going to see that. Okay. I'm going to go, I think I want to do a little bit of a darker gray in this. There's my gray. Okay. This is the one. I just pulled out like literally 10 different grays. Okay, let me put this one in. It's got to be perfect. And then the next fabric we're going to put down is going to be, oh, I'm almost demanding to come in. I'm going to ignore him. We're going to put this fabric down. So then this one's going to be next. And then after that's going to be the felt. And then the stripe. So I'm going to go ahead and spray all three of these and just have them ready. That was a good choice. That gray looks perfect. It said color doesn't make a difference for the next stitch down, but then you're going to need the top layer satin outline for that white with the red polka dot. So I'm just going to put white in next. Let's take out that gray. Let's put in the white. The endless white. Placement stitch. Grab your fabric. Tack down. then we'll trim. Momo would like to go out. He is ringing the bell. Hang on just a second. I'm going to go ahead and trim this, and then that's what happens when you teach the dog how to ring the bell. Oh, it looks cute. Okay, next color is, well, we're going to go ahead and do the satin stitch here. And then you're going to want the pink that matches the felt. Taffy. That comes in the Silky Solids kit, I think. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the white. I'm going to put in my taffy. We're going to do the placement stitch. All right, it says, yeah, stitch the top layer frosting placement line. And if you haven't already done so, spray your pink felt. Ooh, that is cute. Oh, look how cute this is. This is going to be trimmed as desired, so you want to have a little bit of an outline. And you want to grab your curved straight scissors to trim this one. And trim this. Let me go ahead and turn this. I'll be more successful. This way. That's the direction I need to go. I can put this over here so I can have that out of the way. There we go. Oh, that looks really cute. That looks really, really cute. I'm going to slide that back on. Next step is stitch the middle layer placement line, and it says color does not make a difference, but I'm going to go back to my white again. Or actually, I'm going to go to a light gray. I'll do that one right there. Light gray. Light gray. Because it is going to do an outline stitch, so might as well put it in now. And this is, you should have this already sprayed. It's the white with the light gray stripe. I'm going to go ahead and lay this down, and this is directional. So your stripe is supposed to go across. If it goes up and down, that's totally fine too. Unless it bothers you. If it bothers you, cut another piece. We're going to do the tack down, we're going to trim, and then we're going to satin stitch. I love that pink felt. That pink felt is so cute. Okay. Okay, you're going to trim this. See how impatient I am? I woke up this morning dreaming about, I don't know if it was this morning or if it was yesterday morning, but I woke up dreaming about an embroidery pattern. I don't know if that ever happens to you. Okay, the next fabrics that are going to get placed down will be the blue houndstooth check, the silver leather, and the red leather. So I'm going to go ahead and spray all of those. The blue houndstooth. Oh wait, the felt. The felt is going to go on. After the blue houndstooth will be the felt. The silver leather. And then the red leather. I mean, you could just spray everything. Because the only other thing is going to be the navy leather. I just take them all and put them in my spray tan and spray them all. I'm actually going to grab all my scraps and then see if any of these work. We'll try those first before we cut into those brand new pieces. That looks so delicious. All right, and that was step number 16. Now we're going to do the blue. So I'm going to take out that gray, that silver, and I'm going to put in the blue. Color doesn't make a difference right now, but you might as well put it in now. What is this spray you are using and why do you use it? I prefer not to tape. So I use, I'll show you. Here is my, oh, this is going to look so messy. So I use my spray tent right here, which is my dime spray tent. And then I use this, which is KK Ganold 100. And I use it because I watch the professionals use it and I think, well, maybe if I use what the professional use, I'll be professional too. So I just love it. It's really tacky, and I just prefer it over taping, because I think for most of this they tape down, and I just prefer using the spray. All right, I should be a spokesperson for KK Ganold because I use so much of it and I love it. And a little goes a long way. Okay, you're going to take your fabric, and this is going to go down next. Make sure you cover the whole thing. I just don't like use. I do use tape sometimes, but for the most part, I just prefer using the spray. And I just haven't found a lot of sprays that I like. The KK's like, it's just the perfect amount of spray to me. I know some people don't like spray. And after you do this, we're going to trim it up. And then we're going to satin stitch it. So go ahead and trim. And then you're just going to hit start and satin stitch. And then we'll put on the frosting, the white frosting on this cake. And if you see anything during the sew-alongs that you're interested in getting, you can go to our website or you can call the store. There we go. Now I'm going to just go ahead and hit start, let it do the satin stitch, and then we're going to switch out to white and we're going to put the felt down. Okay, I'm going to change out my upper thread to white. We're going to do a placement stitch for the white felt. I've already sprayed my white felt, so it's just sitting there waiting to be put down. And this is going to be trim as desired, so I'm going to use my curved straight scissors to get that perfect edge around it. And those are the Femore scissors. I love them. Let's go ahead and put that down. I love the felt around it because it's just thick and it just looks like fondant. So we're going to stitch this and then we're going to go ahead and trim it. That's going to be stitch, this is step number 24. Trimming it's going to be step number 25. And then we'll put the cake tray underneath this one. You want a little bit of an edge. You don't want to trim right to the stitch. And make it look pretty because this is all you get. There's nothing else around it. There we go. Looking good. I'm going to slide that back on. And it does. It really helps to have the right scissors. So those curved straight ones are nice because they have a curve to go over the edge and then the straight edge so you can get nice straight lines when you want it and curved lines when you want it too. I'm just going to go ahead and leave that thread in there and we're going to do the placement for the tray. Let me grab the silver. Let's see. That's not wide enough. I'm actually going to use the piece we cut for this because I need it wide enough. We're going to lay this down, and when we trim this, we're going to trim close to the stitch line. So let's put it down like that. And I'm going to change out my thread. How are we doing, ladies? I need to pick up a pair of those scissors. Yes! Tin snips don't work as well. It's funny because I had those scissors, like the ones that are curved straight. They're called curved straight. I had those for a long time and I never used them. I was just like, I just thought there was nothing better than double curved scissors. And then, you know, so these are the double curved, you know, and I have a large pair. So you're going to have it curved to go over the hoop edge and curved here so it doesn't go into the fabric. However, when you're cutting around something, you know, if you're trying to make a straight line, it's hard to make a straight line with those. And I finally used the curved straight ones. I was like, these are amazing. I literally probably had those for a couple of years before I even tried them because they came in my Fermore scissor set. So they were just kind of, you know, there. I didn't purposely go out and buy them. I love them. I couldn't live without them. There's just times where that's the pair that's going to do the best job for you. Okay, this says to cut it close to the stitch line. Close to the stitch line to me is double curved. Or my snips. All right. Ooh, that looks good. Sorry, late today. Do you have those straight scissors? Yes, I do have those. And my leather cutting is not good. Yes, and you know what? They'll make all the difference in the world. So it's not you, Kim, it's your scissors. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just let this stitch this down. My thread that I have in isn't super, super shiny, and I think I'm going to switch it. Use a different one. I think I'm going to go with this. No, what do you think? Yeah, maybe we'll do that one. All right, so now it's going to do the cake tray decorative outline. Hi, Miss Anna. Be working, and of course, I'm distracted. Thanks for stopping in, Anna. Let me go ahead. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and just stitch around this. I could use my silver thread, right? But I'm not going to because I already started this one. Okay, so now it's doing that decorative stitch that's going to go around it, and then we're going to stitch the small pinwheel placement line. That's going to be doesn't look like it's showing it in red, but the pinwheel's in red, so I'm going to use red for that. I have all my leather scraps here. Kim, if you send me a note, I'll just add it with your other order unless you want those snips soon. Looks cute. We've got just about 1,400 stitches left and 2 more minutes, so the rest of this should be pretty quick. It is 3:08. That should be plenty of time for us to fit in our next embroidery. So if you look them up on the Formori site, I think it's curved straight. If you just look up Formori and looked up curved, I think there'll be 3 different ones on there. There'll be double curved, and then there'll be a pair that says curved straight, something like that. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to put my red in. You just really need them, ladies. I'm never going to have you get stuff you don't need, but you need to have the curve straight. It's not even a want. That one is a have to have. Okay, we're going to do the placement line for the small red pinwheel. I'm going to see how big it is before I figure out which piece of leather I'm going to put down. And these are going to be trimmed as desired, so you need a little bit of an edge around them. I mean, Kim, watch me and watch me trim these so perfectly with my my curved straight. Put that down. Let's tack it down. Let's get our curved straight scissors out. Maybe I was supposed to, you know, it's shown that kind of pink colored thread. Maybe I was supposed to do that because then you would have seen the detail a little bit better, but I didn't. So if you haven't done it yet, maybe use your pink thread so that you're going to have that contrast on the red. I just thought, oh, maybe my color printer didn't print so well. So I'm going to leave this with a little bit of an edge, and because I'm using my curve straight, I can get that line just how I want it. Make it absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to unplug my cord here so that's not hopping around. For the next one, for stitching down the navy blue one, I am going to use that light blue. I think I blew it. I'm sorry, guys. I hope you didn't do the red. I should have done the pink. Would have been cuter. I literally thought my color printer just didn't print the red out dark enough. I almost feel like I should make those not so sharp and just make them a little. All right, so that is the red. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the light blue in. And we're going to do the placement line first. Oh, you did? You did all of yours on the Scan-A-Cut. Okay, so if you guys don't know, I have had, this is my second Scan-A-Cut that I've owned. So I had the, I can't remember the model book before this. I think it was like the 650. And then when the auto blade came out, I was like, oh, I gotta have that. Well, I never used it because if you come to the store, I'm super proficient on everything except the scan and cut. And I'm still working on my long arm skills. And I used my scan and cut to cut fabric for the first time yesterday. My friend Anna, we are doing this quilt, and I'm looking for my my blue leather. And I'll show it to you tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a little shot of spray. I am sometimes resistant to technology. And so I'm just going to lay this down here. But there was so much cutting out in this pattern, I said, forget it. I'm using that scan and cut. I'm getting it out right now, and I'm going to make it happen. And by golly, ladies, with some help from my friends, I was able to get it to cut. And it was super exciting. So okay, let me get my little snips out. We're going to trim this one as desired, and guess what? We're going to be done. It really was a game changer, Kim, for that project. It was a total game changer. This kind of stuff, I don't mind trimming it. I actually kind of enjoy it. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever like pre-cut these kind of appliques. But that project that I'm working on right now, it was like, there was no other way. You really had to do it like that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and trim this up. Move this out of the way. Let's start trimming. Trim as desired. And if you want, you could just trim this right to this stitch. Okay, next embroidery up. Not even looking at my list. I don't even know what it is. There we go. Oh, those look cute. I love them. And I gotta tidy up for a second. Hang on just a sec. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. This. Get rid of some of my grays. And I heard that when you do the scan and cut in Kimberbell SVG files, you have to add an extra click to it. Did you have to do that? Well, I don't know. Let's ask Kim. Kim, did you have to add an extra click? And before I pop this out of the hoop, let me just make sure I did everything. And we did that. Trim as desired. And I think we're all set. Remove it from the hoop. I do not cut my, I should, right? Maybe someday when my hands aren't working as well, I'll just go ahead and cut everything on my scan and cut. But I gotta tell you, ladies, I really am totally technology resistant. But there's times where I go, okay, that, I gotta use the scan and cut, right? And that was what happened to me yesterday with that project that I'm working on. I'm gonna cut that apart. Let's look and see what's next. Let's get our next one started. Kim can answer Kim said, I changed the thread color to applique cut line on the luminaire and sent directly to the new Scan and Cut. Didn't use Kimberbell SVGs. Wow. See, that's what you're not getting here. You're not getting that with me because I'm Scan and Cut stupid. But that sounds absolutely amazing. Maybe I should force myself to do that. Should we force ourselves to do that? So did you do that all beforehand? And then did you just take all the pieces that were cut and put it on there? I don't have a luminaire, so I will try it when I do this pillow. Maybe that's what we need to do is we'll have to broadcast Kim, and Kim will have to give us all a lesson. I'm sure there's other people who are doing that too. Do we have any other ladies that are doing the same thing with their Scan and Cuts? The great thing about the Scan and Cut is you can cut any shape, and that's what's so nice about it. And there's a time and a place for everything. I know a lot of people have AccuQuilt, and they absolutely love their AccuQuilt. I'm looking for my spreadsheet. Oh, here it is. And I think that's going to be great for certain when you have all different shapes. The Scan and Cut's going to be good for that too. And it's going to be great when you have things that are irregular shapes that you can't buy dies for. You want to create yourself. So we're going to do flower next. So flower is going to go into our 5x7 hoop. I have this piece of muslin that was still great for me to do one more hooping up here in my 5x7. So I didn't cut the other part off. I'm just going to go ahead and hoop it up like this. I'm using every last bit of my muslin up. That is a little small on the sides, but I'm going to do it one more time. Sometimes I can go like at an angle too. Get it in there. We'll do the best we can. Okay. We're just going to go in like that. Good enough. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our fabric here. And this is flower. And we're going to set our quilt design to wavy 4. And we want the 4x6. So let's go over to the machine. And then we'll go ahead and press everything and trim everything out. And I'll try and tidy up a little bit. I don't want you to look around my sewing room and have anxiety. It's pretty bad right now, though. Okay, I'm sliding my hoop on. Let's go home. Actually, I have to take that off because I haven't gone home yet. Embroidery. And again, we want wavy 4. That's the design, and we want 4x6 horizontal. This is the one. Let's go ahead and set that. We're going to be in our 5x7 hoop, so I'm going to go ahead and select 5x7. My foot height. Oh, I might have forgotten that. I'm just going to go ahead and set it back to default right now. And we are going to add our design, and the design we're adding is going to be the flower. There's our flower and our 5x7. The outline of it, there's a bottom line, that bottom red line, and then the next line is a 1/4 inch. That's where I'm thinking it wants you to have it. What do you ladies think? Has anyone done this one? Yours is probably a lot more cleaner than mine for sure. Because this is going, and then when we stitch, we're going to be right at the bottom of the pot. I think that's what they want you to do, not above, 1/4 inch above that, because I think it'll be too high. Let me go ahead and look, because it should be sewn right on that edge. This is where we're going to trim that bottom red line, and then we're going to sew on that top red line. And I'm going to see if, and I think that's right. If you look here, you're going to see it's sewn right at the bottom of the satin stitching. So I'm going to go with that. I think that's right. Hopefully I'm not leading anyone astray. And I'm going to go ahead and say okay. So let's go ahead and say okay to that. I love my ladies, the way you're so smart about your cutting and your sewing, and you know so much more than me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take out the blue thread that was there before. First color we're going to see is probably going to be the quilting. Let me grab my fabric. It's going to be on the white houndstooth, so I'm just going to put my white in. My endless spool of white with my spool cap. And we're going to do a placement for my batting first. Let me go ahead and slide this on. Here's my placement for my batting. I'm also going to grab my batting and my background fabric, and I'm going to give them a little shot of spray. Here's my batting. Here's my background fabric. I'm going to go to my spray tent. So I don't know where I got all this batting from. This must all be from the same whatever project I was doing, but it's all pretty thick. So I'm going to actually, let me go ahead and stop that. I'm going to put my foot height up again. And I'm going to actually put a sticky on my machine because I'm worried I'm going to forget. This is how much I don't trust myself. I'm going to just stick it on my machine. So I remember to put my foot height down. Lost your Facebook video. Okay, hang on just a second. Let me see if I can get it back. Are you on YouTube, or let me ask Patrick really quickly. Hey, Patrick? I'm helpless. Let me see. Is it connecting? We lost you. Lost your Facebook video. I'm checking. Support the stream. Did it start over? Is it there? Okay, let me just take this and put this into... I'm going to put it in the sew along. Hang on just a minute, ladies. Just trying to make sure it's there in the sew along. Groups. Let me see if it's there too. I think it's there too, is it? Are you guys there? I am now. We lost you. Are you ladies found? Let me see if I have to add it again. I'm going to add it right now. It looks like it is, maybe it's not in there. Okay, I'm going to add it right now and just see if you guys can find it. Kimberbell. Okay, let's see if that works. I just went ahead and posted it again, so I'm hoping that it's there. Okay, and if not, you might have to go to YouTube, but let me see. Shoot, I am not seeing it either. But it's on YouTube. Are you ladies able to see it on YouTube? Sorry. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube and post it there. Okay. YouTube. A-1. Let's see. There's my hand. Let's see if that comes up, and then I'll just go ahead and post it. Is this live? YouTube is fine. Okay, I'm going to take the YouTube and add it over there and see if people can find it. Let me go Facebook and videos. A1, groups. Okay, ladies, sorry about that. I was just trying to get everything posted. It's fine on YouTube. YouTube is fine. Okay, I was just trying to see if I could add it to Facebook too for those, because some of the ladies have trouble with Facebook. We try and do both. And I just don't have any control over what happens. So, okay, this is the flower. I'm just trimming away. Sorry, didn't mean to ruin our groove. I'm trimming away the batting. My batting's thick, so I raised my foot height. And I put a sticky on my machine to remind myself, because I could totally see myself forgetting and then doing another embroidery and having it break and just not being able to figure it out. How sad is that? That's how bad my brain is. Okay. Next step. I already sprayed my background fabric too. I'm going to skip the placement stitch for my background. I'm just going to go to the tack down for my background. And I'm going to lay my fabric down. I could just kind of eyeball it. Here, center it to that. And just feel around. Just make sure I need to lower it a little bit. Move it over a little bit. There, that should be good. And I have probably about an inch all the way around. And then I'm going to do my tack down. I put white in, so I'm going to let it do that, and then I'm going to let it do my quilting stitch. And the first color we're going to need is that green, that pretty green. And here's all my applique fabric. Just put that over there too. I wonder if people can find me on Facebook still. And while it's doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and take these embroideries over here. I'm going to cut this apart. And fold up all my muslin. It's driving me a little crazy that everything is so wild over here. So I'm going to clean up a little bit. And I'll save this for the next project. This will be what I use for 2 scoops. These will go up on the shelf. Okay. Next thing it wants me to do is it says, so that was the quilting. It wants me to stitch the stem and leaf placement line, and it wants me to do that in green. So I'm going to grab my green. And I might as well take all my pieces of applique fabric and put them in my spray tent and spray them all right now. This just makes me think of sunflowers, doesn't it? Let's go ahead and lay down that green piece. This one says trim close to the stitch. So I'm going to get my titanium snips. These are like my favorites if I can use them. I should just put something out if I get lost on Facebook and I just don't know how to get it back to Facebook. Let me cut that thread. I'm going to put another bobbin in. Let's use... What can I use up? Buy them by the box, ladies. And just get good quality bobbins. The last thing you want to do is buy cheapy bobbins and then struggle. I'm going to go back 10 stitches. And start. I'm going to see if I can find my Facebook ladies. All right, go ahead and trim this. Unfortunately, my IT guy's not here. I don't know where he went. If it was the store, I'd go, he's at the bike shop, but we're at home right now. Cute. I'm going to slide that back on, and then it's going to do the decorative outline. After this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put on that gold is going to go down next. My fabric's already sprayed. What were those snips used on Friday that oh my goodness, I love those snips. You know what, Miss Kim? Oh, I just dumped everything in my bag. I have 2 pairs of those. So, and I can't find either of them. But we're going to use those. Those are going to be the deal of the day tomorrow. So, those are made by OESD, and I think they're called the Perfect Snips. And that's what I'll use to like trim all of my little jump threads that are in there. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to change my thread out. But they're the OESD Perfect. I think they're called the OESD Perfect Snips. And don't buy them yet because I'm going to put them on the website. They'll be 20% off tomorrow. But that's going to be a deal of the day. We actually pulled them aside. And so now we're going to do the placement for these little hexagons. Let me see if I have my other pair here. My other pair here. But I love them. I like absolutely love those. All right, I'm going to lay down my gold fabric. It's funny because I had 2 pairs here, so I took one to the store, and now I have none here. Get your little snips, trim this up. Unless you've already cut them on the scanning cut and then they're ready to go. So Cheryl, I just ordered some of those too, and those are going to be a deal of the day this week. I just wanted to have some of them in. But yes, the circle templates will be a deal of the day. Okay, trim these close to the fabric. What I love about these snips is if you watch me cut, you're going to see I cut with both of my hands. And I think, I mean, maybe it's me, but I think it's easy to cut with either hand with these just because you're just pinching. You don't even have to put your fingers in like the little scissor holes or anything. And that just saves a lot of time being able to just move from hand to hand. A lot of times I don't even slide my hoop off unless I have to. Right. That was step number 10. Now it wants you to stitch the petal 2 placement line. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this back on. And petal 2 is going to be the other yellow fabric. It's going to be the yellow lattice. This one right here. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what do other people use? Like, Allison, what do you use? Do you tape? Or do you use some kind of spray? Or do you just hold it? I don't know what people are using. Maybe they're all just taping. I just love spray. Oh my God, I love it so much. It does smell. I try not to spray too heavy. I'm going to go ahead and lay this down. And then it looks like it's asking for gray for the flower center, which I'm not quite sure why. I'm going to use a dark brown. What I was doing while it was doing a lot of stitching is I grabbed my my tag for 2 scoops, and then I wrote down all the color numbers in here that go with this set, and then I took a Sharpie and I like to write the colors on the top up here so I can see what color it is wherever it is. A lot of times I use these on my multi-needle, so I do that. And then this way I'll keep this and I'll stick it in with my thread set. So I'll always know, you know, which threads go where. Otherwise you don't know. I don't know if you need to know, but all right, I'm going to trim this out. Because I had somebody call me and they go, you know, I bought a couple of thread sets. I don't know which one this is. So those thread sets, it's glide for Kimberbell. They use the glide thread, and it's put out by Hab and Dash. So if ever you're not sure, you can go to Hab and Dash, and they give you the color list. How are we doing, ladies? Everyone good? Are your embroideries looking absolutely amazing? I don't know. Kimberbell has it going on. They're just so cute. I keep going, I'm not going to do another one. And then the next one, I cannot wait for Cup of Cheer. I ordered 50 fabric kits. So if you haven't gotten yours yet, make sure you order it. It's going to be like an heirloom. Like, you're going to want one for each of your grandkids. Oh, let me see what's next. Stitch the petal decorative outline. So I'm just going to hit start and let it stitch that out. And then we're going to stitch the flower center placement line. I'm going going to do that all in this like dark brown, this really pretty brown. It's called brunette. Not a great color. See? Brunette. Alright, I'm going to put this brown in. My color list shows like a gray, but I really think it'll just look better with brown. So I'm going to put some of this brunette thread in. Why you use muslin instead of stabilizer? So, because I'm big fat copycat. One of our first events that we ever hosted at our store was with Nikki Brazel, who was the gal who started the Destiny Divas, and to this day, like one of my favorite all-time educators, although she is no longer teaching. But, okay, so this is our placement line, which we could skip because you know where it's going to go. So I'm just going to skip it. I'm going to go to the next one, which is going to be the tack down. If that makes you feel uncomfortable, do the placement and then do the tack down. So she had done, I remember when she came and she had all her samples with her, and she had done the Anita Good Shop Hop. And I don't know how we got to talking about it, but she said she was the one who told me that she used muslin instead of the no-show mesh or your cutaway. And I just started using it after that. And I prefer, I mean, for me, I use the muslin. Whoops, I don't know why my arm is floating up like that. Let me tighten it up. I like the way it feels more than the no-show mesh. I feel like the no-show mesh is stiff, the cutaway. So I know they call it no-show mesh. They call it poly mesh. It's just stiff to me, and I just don't like the way it feels in my projects. I feel like the muslin is more pliable and softer, and it just feels better. That being said, there's times I do use no-show mesh. So now it wants to do the decorative outline. I use, if I'm doing something where it has batting in it and it's quilted, then I always use muslin. If it's just going directly on the like no-show mesh, a lot of times I will use no-show mesh if it calls for that. But if it's quilting and there's going to be a layer of batting and then a layer of background fabric, then with all that batting and all that background fabric, that's enough stabilizer that you don't need to use the no-show mesh. Muslin isn't, I mean, it doesn't offer a lot of stabilization. Just because, I mean, a lot of times the weave is looser, and it doesn't, you know, it's not going to hold like no-show mesh will. But if you're on layers and you have, you know, your muslin, your batting, and your backing, it's enough. And I like the way it feels. Okay, so now we're going to do the flower pot. Let me go ahead and put that thread color in, and that's going to be like that toasted brown. Let me see. for me, it's never, and you know, on top of that, I think it's probably cheaper too. That's not the big consideration for me. I'm a super tactile person, and I just don't like stuff that's stiff. But maybe that's better if you're like hanging it up. I like it to be squishy. Okay, here we're gonna put the flower pot on next. And the other thing I'd asked Nikki is I was like, because I always want to know, like, which one do I get? Like, I don't want to get the wrong one. And she told me, she's like, just buy the cheapest stuff. I was like, oh, okay. So at the store, we don't carry, it's not the cheapest stuff, but it's nice stuff. But it's not the most expensive muslin that you can find. That's what we carry at the store. And at our store, we carry it in 45-inch, 60-inch, and 90-inch. And I like buying 90 and 60-inch. Because I just cut it strips, you know, with the fabric. Cindy, you should try it and see how you like it. You might not like it. There's some people who are like, no, I like the mesh better. So just keep using that, but maybe you'll like it. I still use a lot of no-show mesh depending on my project. All right, I'm going to slide this back on. We're going to do the satin outline. And then we're going to do the butterfly. And we're going to do his head and the fill. And then I think we're going to be done with our embroidery. Then we're going to go ahead and let's press everything out. We are almost on time. Can you believe that, ladies? You know me. I'm never on time. I always run long. Unfortunately. I'm just slow, I guess. Satin stitch away, ladies. Go ahead and heat up your iron so we'll be ready to press everything out. You want to get some best press? Or you can use steam. It doesn't make a difference. I like best press because it just holds everything. I'm a KK Canold addict and a best press addict. Ooh, Cindy, you might like it. Maybe you'll just become a muslin girl. I buy it by the bolt. Things I buy by the bolt would be muslin. I also buy Shape Flex by the bolt too, because you can never have enough Shape Flex. Shape Flex just makes the world a better place. So the first Kimberbell quilt I ever tried was, and I still have not finished it, but I have everything to make Jingle All the Way, and I need to finish that at some point. We'll do it as a sew along. I did not read the directions, of course, and the first thing they have you stitch out is mistletoe. And I literally stitched out maybe 2 times that I had horrible puckering. And the third time I went to do it and it still was puckering. I was convinced that it was something with the digitizing. Okay, we are done with that. Let's go ahead and put our red in. And the red's going to be the ladybug. I want to say, I just took it and I just threw it to the side. I was like, I'm not doing this. There's something wrong with the pattern. And I read in the instructions, I mean, if it was me doing it now, number one, I would have used the Shape Flex, because it said to, in the instructions after I read it, it said to use Shape Flex on the background pieces. So I would have done that, and I wouldn't have been so worried about puckers, because you're going to get puckers sometimes. And if you just use your best press in a wool mat, or you could use your best press in OESD press cloth, you can get rid of almost all those puckers. So that stuff doesn't worry me anymore. I probably would have a completed Jingle Bell quilt if I knew what I knew now. Jingle all the way. But that's okay. We'll do it together. Look how gorgeous that red is. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put black in. This is the ladybug. So you've got to have Shape Flex SF101 by the bolt. The other thing, I wouldn't buy this by the bolt because the bolts are huge, but Misty Fuse, oh my goodness. I'm a Misty Fuse lover. And once we're done with this, that's going to be it. We're going to go ahead and press. So I'm going to heat up my iron. The other thing I'm going to do is I am going to put my embroidery foot height back before I forget, as soon as this is done. Isn't that like the best sound ever? Means we are finito, we are done, and it is time to trim. So my iron's heating up. I've got my best press. I like to take these and I would like to press them from the back. So I like to turn them over, and I'm going to grab my best press and I'm going to go ahead and spray it down. I always look at my fabric to see if it's directional. It's not, then I'm not going to worry about it. But if you have like distinct stripes or something like that, you need to be careful that when you, because I press aggressively. I'm going to call this ironing. I don't know if you're supposed to, but this is how I do it. You just don't want to distort the fabric. When there is no direction, then I distort it. I'm sure it distorts. So I'm going to go ahead and press all of these and then we'll trim them down. My iron's ready to go. You can see how it's like rippled and it's not laying flat. And you just want it to be flat for when you trim it. You don't want to trim it and then press it. You want to press it and then trim it. And I'm not worried if the line moves. That line is a suggestion. And you can spray from the, you can press from the front side too, but that should be enough. And that looks good to me. I'm gonna get my next one. I am gonna press this with the lines of the flag. I'm gonna go this way first. And the whole reason you use a wool mat is because it presses the embroidery into the mat and spreads the fabric if you need it to do that. And if you want to press it from the front, you can. And that looks gorgeous. I'll put that one to the side. Okay, here is my flower and my cherries. And we'll trim these down. So we have wavy design going this way, so I'm just going to press it this way. You do have to be careful if you press from the front that you're not pressing any specialty fabric. Looks great. Cherries has leather on it. I'm pressing in the direction of my quilting first. All right. I'm going to go ahead and trim these now. So on your spreadsheet, I added a new category, and that's going to be the pop ruler size. So these are the pop ruler sizes that we need for this. And it always helps to use your rotating mat. So here's my rotating mat. I was using my Olfa ones, which I love too. I haven't used those in such a long time. But, you know, these are my favorite. That one, is that just so cute? That is just, my goodness, it's so adorable. Okay, let's do the cherries first. So I'm going to go 4.5 by 4.5. I think that's going to be, and somebody asked me how I put this together, and I literally, I just use the book. I use what's in the book, but I put it all on my spreadsheet so you don't have to be churning from page to page. So I'm going to grab this. And for the cherries, it says 4.5 by 4.5. This is your pop rulers. If you do a lot of Kimberbell, you have to have these. You don't have to have them, but it says 4.5 by 4.5 on here. You want to use the little spongy, grippy, rubbery things to go on the backside. And you're going to frame it the best you can. There's a little give and take. You might be off on this, but you're off here, so you just do it the best you can. And that looks good to me. Hold it down. You're going to just push in the corner, go straight up. Hold the whole thing as you turn it. You don't want it to slide. You don't want to let go and then have it move as you're rotating it. And if that does happen, just get a regular ruler and square it up. Oop, I have two corners that didn't go totally cut. And there is your perfect, flat, wonderful cherry ready to go. All right, let's do the next one. Toss that. We're going to do these first because these are the easiest ones. The other ones we're going to have to layer. And what you don't want to do is have another embroidery underneath and start cutting like I did the other day. That's called haste makes waste. Haste makes waste. Okay. Let's go ahead and square this up. Just going to outline it the best I can. And we want to be about 1/4 inch from the bottom. Remember, if you want, you can use another ruler too. Because remember, it's supposed to be 1/4 inch from the bottom. You could line that other ruler up. There we go. That's 1/4 inch. I'm just going to line up with my sides. And it doesn't have to be perfect. What's that wavy stitch? Is that centered? That's almost an inch. And that's almost an inch. Yes, that looks good. Okay, so I'll use smaller rulers in conjunction with my pop rulers just to make sure everything is like straight and lined up. I'm pretty anal. I am and I'm not. I'm like a contradiction. And there is our gorgeous flower. And see, it's not, you don't have to worry about those stitches that it's not totally on the line. You're cutting to your ruler and not to those lines. Those lines are just a suggestion, because that's all going to get sewn in your 1/4 inch stitch. Okay, so that one is done. Let's do the flag. Now with the flag, it says that we're going to layer our 6.5 by 8.5 with our 8.5 by 10.5. So here is, what's this one? That doesn't look right. Looks like I put them away because I was tidying up. Okay, here's our 6.5 by 8.5 layered. So you have your outline stitch. That's what we're going to go with first. So this outer one, the outer one has to be lined up with those lines here on either side. And that looks pretty good. And then these, you put this one inside and you get those kind of lined up. Oh, you know what? I'm having trouble seeing the white. The white on white. Okay. How are we doing up there? I'm going to check my left and right. That looks pretty good. I think what we really need is, I'm lining it up with that bottommost. I think that looks good. So we're going to go ahead and make sure you do the right cut first. And let's look at the instructions one more time. Make sure that I'm not leading you astray. We are on the pieced flag. The pieced flag starts on page 14. This is where I get the information for the chart. Pieced flag starts on 14. That's what I put in your spreadsheet. And on page 17, it tells you which pop rulers to use, and that's what I put in your spreadsheet. So you're going to see right here, it's telling you to cut top and bottom first. Remove your inner pop ruler, and then you're going to cut right and left. And then you'll extend those lines out. So let me look at this one more time. That is pretty much on that line on the top and lined up with the bottom. This, I mean, that line's going askew, but I'm not really worried about that. Rather keep in line with these. That is about an inch and 1 1/4 inch. 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 1 Yep. Go up. That's about 1.25 inches and 1.25 inches, and I think that looks good. I'm going to check my left and my right one more time. Okay, I'm going for it. Although maybe I just moved it. 1.25 inches, 1.25 inches. We're good. I'm cutting top and bottom. I'm going to spin it this way and cut the top, and then I'll spin it the other way and cut the bottom. Take your time. Okay, we're going to take out the inner one. Now we're going to cut left and right. This is why it's important not to cut to the line. My line is probably about 1/8 of an inch inside of the stitch line. And that happens because the fabric pulls as you're stitching. Okay, we've got to extend those lines out. Might be easier to do it on this side, or not. I'm going to line that up with the edge. Let's line it up like this. I'm going to line it up with the fabric and just cut. I almost like to do this and my fabric next to this, my ruler next to the fabric. And that looks incredible. Okay, flag is done. Let's go ahead and trim the cake. And I think the cake is the same thing. I think it's nested. I think it, and we can look at our instructions. Cake. Yeah, it's the 6.5 by 8.5 nested with the 8.5 by 10.5. That's just straight from the book. I didn't read that. Was the cake supposed to go all the way down, or was it centered? Let me just make sure. Not that it matters now, because it's already in there. I think it was supposed to be centered. I think we checked the alignment for these. Okay, I'm going to check that. Now I'm checking top and bottom in the stitch. And that looks good. I'm going to put this back down again. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to go for it. Cutting left and right first. And then I will cut top and bottom after I take out the inner hoop. I mean the inner pop ruler. Let's take this out. Let's cut. Cut this side. And we're going to cut. Okay. We're going to extend that line. And there you go. All right, your homework is to finish your pillow. So what you're going to do is you're going to stitch together section 2. Wrong one. here's section 2. You're going to stitch together this section, and then you're going to stitch section 2 to section 1. You're going to add the inner border, left and right, and then top and bottom. And then you're going to add the flange, left and right, and then top and bottom. Once you're done with that, we already did our quilting for most of us. You just add your back pieces. You're going to stitch in the ditch right around here, and that's what creates that adorable flange, and you are done. I am going to do a video where I sew the rest of it together, and I will post that to Facebook and to YouTube. But thank you so much for joining me. Did anyone have any questions? This is just going to go together like this. Where's the picture? The cherries on top and the sunflower. And then you're going to add that to section 1 that we did before. And then we'll add our flange, our border and our flange and our back. Thanks for joining me, ladies. I'm going to keep going, but I will post a video for the rest. And have a great night. I'll talk to you later.